Hey everyone, this is Pan Bam Richard presenting to you AC Radio at www.abyssalchronicles.com, where Tales is our life. This is a breaking news episode for Sunday, June 10th, 2018, and because Dimension Slip does live in Japan, she's currently asleep right now. We did not expect this announcement to come in, but I'm joined here by my friend Zeno the Wanderer, and right now we'll be talking about the latest breaking news from Microsoft's Xbox E3 conference, which is in fact Tales of Vesperia, the definitive edition. And what happened?
Coming out of nowhere as we're watching the conference, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition comes up on screen.
Yeah, and it was just okay, because I'm just going to go on a tangent here right now. It's been very odd with regards to reveals for the Tales of franchise because ever since 2015, since the release of Vesperia in Japan, we've been getting some more exclusive announcements in the West. Because first off, we got the announcement that Vesperia was coming to the PS4, which was completely fresh for the overseas market compared to the Japanese market. And then, well, not just the PS4, but also on Steam. And then to go further from that, we were it wasn't in Japan, but we had some footage in Europe of Tales of Berseria battle system first, before it was revealed in Japan. So to go from that to the E3 announcement at a Western conference in E3 it's still mind-boggling for me, because this has been the evolution and growth of news being revealed in the franchise has grown so much since 2015, I find.
Absolutely. And not only that, it's a Western conference for a Western company. This wasn't Sony, this wasn't Nintendo, this was Microsoft.
Yeah, that's a very huge point. And to even go further from that, I recall when myself and several other staff members or people on my Twitter feed would just be joking about Tales of presence in E3. I think in 2013, when Exilia was going to come out, at most we only got a bit of footage of Exilia 1 in 2013, at the end montage. It was 6 seconds of Noctigal. And then
pushed back with everything else in that montage.
Yeah, exactly. It was nothing, absolutely nothing except for that one particular reveal. And then in 2014, we got a screenshot of Tales of Hearts R, and they just talked about it. And I was like, all right, well, cool that you're talking about how the Vita's not dead. But a part of that, too, is also that, it's nice to see Tales of get that recognition. We kind of just get we take what we can get when it comes to the West compared to the Japanese market and their advertising campaigns. But to go from those 2 points for Tales of Presence at an E3 to this, I'm at a loss for words about how much we've been getting reveals overseas compared to the Japanese market at this time.
And especially so being that this is one of the most anticipated Tales speculations that have been around forever. The whole PS3 Vesperia release not coming out in English. And to reveal it here, and after everyone knows it being on 360, so it had released on a Microsoft console before, this is just crazy.
It was a very clever strategy on Bandai Namco's part, especially for the Western branch. Kudos to you guys, because when it comes to that, it was very... Tales of Vesperia is that game that I'd like to call as a boomer title. It's the title that sort of is a game that would bring fans into the franchise as their initial entry point into the series. So games I would consider that would have that label would include Tales of Destiny on the PlayStation 1, Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube. Some people would argue Tales of Vesperia on the PS4, but Tales of Vesperia is definitely another one of those boomer titles. And if you ask people about the Tales of franchise, modern gamers, the general game that they would bring up is Tales of Vesperia, and they wouldn't really know much about the other franchise, or wouldn't even think it's a franchise in the first place. So I'm glad that Bandai Namco is aware of that, and I'm glad that they chose marketing-wise to reveal it at the Xbox conference, where, like you've said, Zeno, it's a Microsoft company. It is Microsoft, but it's also a Western company that is revealing that news to the Western audience. So very clever, very smart marketing on Bandai Namco's part.
Yeah, and I feel like this also comes with Bandai Namco definitely has some faith with this doing well in the Western market. If they're gonna announce all of this here, again at a Western show, Western company, they have some good faith in it. And I'm really glad that they do.
So, to go further from this whole announcement here, they said that based on the trailer, it was advised that the definitive edition of Vesperia will contain all of the content, as they were very much clear in showing not just Patty, but they also showed off all of the extra Mystic Arts as well for Flynn and Yuri, and that's only exclusive to the PS3. So that's good to see.
So seeing all the content that was once exclusive to PS3 and Japan, it's really great to see Patty and Flynn confirmed for English, localized name of the arts, confirmed in an official mainline console game for once. It's great to see that we are getting this thing that so many people have wanted for so long now.
Yeah, and it was amazing because Zeno and I were talking about this earlier about the localized names of the arts, and there was a point in where some of these arts were localized, officially localized for the franchise, but it wasn't in their own game. It was in fact in Project Cross Zone and Project Cross Zone 2. And a part of that also comes to mind, a small little joke that the localizers had in Project Cross Zone 2, where there's this one wing quote that Yuri and Flynn share where they talk about Patty and pirate ships, but then in the localization, the two were having that conversation, but like, wait, did we have a Patty? Did we have like a pirate girl in our party? And then it's like a little poke at like how the localization didn't come to fruition for the PS3 version. So, I mean, this kind of makes me go a little bit more on the whole speculations about Vesperia coming out localized from the PS3. And I remembered having this conversation so many times with a lot of people. And I even remembered like when I was going to leave for Azalea Con 2016, the final day I had some folks, some Tales fans just talking to me about, will they ever do a Vesperia remaster or HD remake? And I told them this. For Symphonia fans, as another relation to a boomer title, we had Symphonia on the GameCube and Symphonia on the PS2 a year after, but we did not get that overseas. So, to go further from that, we never got the additional features for Symphonia until 2013 with the Unisonant pack, or the Chronicles as they localized it. So it took about 10 years for that to come out. And I find that a little bit soothing because every time this conversation comes up, I always say that Bandai Namco is aware of the demand. They can't be blind otherwise. So it's not really a matter of if they'll do it, it's more so a matter of when they'll do it. And it seems that now is the time to pull the trigger because of the 10th anniversary of Vesperia. So it's very nice to actually see that forward movement. And while I'm not really the biggest fan of Vesperia, I am happy for its community, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that we're finally getting something after waiting for so long. I too am not the biggest Vesperia fan, but I will definitely be buying this game, and whatever crazy collector's edition might come with it, depending on what happens. But I'll definitely be picking it up, and I'm glad to see it. I think they waited for the right time too.
Yeah, and to even build further faith in the overseas market, especially considering how the mobile market didn't really work out so well with Tales of Link. Well, Tales of Link did fine. It was more so Tales of the Raves that kind of left some of the Western audience a little bit unhappy. I feel like something like this definitely would bring their spirits up. So they definitely bided their time, were aware of the patience, and were aware of the feedback that they got because of that patience, but they did it anyway, and I feel like it was well executed at the end of the day.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so to go further into that, I'm looking at some of these arts that they translated here, and it kind of feels like it's more so direct translation, so it doesn't have that sort of vibe that the localizations had around the mid 2008 or 2008-2009 era, and it kind of feels like more so the localization that you get around 2015, 2016, where the names of the arts might be a little bit, for lack of a better term, janky, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm just curious to see how that'll go once the final product or some more footage is revealed.
As they had said, as they had revealed, it is slated for winter 2018, so technically we can go off the assumption that no footage is final. That could change. I'm not saying it will, but it could. Just keep that in mind for now. everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Patience is a virtue, as Bandai Namco has just practiced right now. So, with that in mind as well, the only things I would bring up is like if this game does become multi-platform, if this will become like the Switch platform game as well that they teased back when the Switch was being before it even came out. Um, my only concern with that is that there's going to be like multiple collector's editions, and that's going to be that's going to be a bit of a money investment, that's for sure. Because my only concern is that I really hope that if it is multi-platform, that they don't do specific collector's editions for the specific types of platforms that it would be released on.
Yeah.
If it's multi-platform, of course.
My comment on that, and again, if it is multi-platform, is usually Western release collector's editions on different platforms usually don't have different content included in the package. Usually, if it's Xbox One and PS4, typically they'll have the same exact items. Again, all speculation, but just a good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, and to put a final seal on this topic, like basically it's still announced, it's still fresh, but this does kind of lead to some intrigue with regards to Tales Festival 2018, because will they? Because like I'm sure. I recall when the rumors were coming up for Tales of Vesperia 10th anniversary, and there were like the West, they love Vesperia, but when it comes to the East, to the Japanese market, they're like they're not really that fond of the game. Well, they're more so like we already have access to it. Why is it being remastered again? It's sort of like that mentality. So it kind of makes you wonder, because Tales Festival is more geared towards the East, is that they will have like an announcement exclusively for them. Now that we already have something that's like for the West, it will like keel people over even if nothing is announced during Tales of Festival. But I don't think they can afford not announcing something for Festival this year because of what happened last year, how there was like a lack of a game announcement or something along those lines.
Yeah, I believe last year, like the only major thing they showed off was Tales of the Rays content, and if maybe some other mobile stuff.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'm sure they'll at least mention something about it, because why would it be a Western only release? But I'm sure we'll see something about it in Tales of Festival, because that's a week away from the time of recording this. It's just interesting that, again, at E3, that this would all be announced.
All right, so with that said, I don't really have much else to say outside of the fact that, wow, this is an amazing announcement that we got for the West, so rejoice, Vesperia fans. Is there anything else you'd like to add for the topic?
Bandai Namco, please don't make me spend multiple $100s on multiple different collector's editions.
You never know, it might just be for the Xbox One, though, so, maybe...
That's possible.
Maybe it should be fine for it to just be on the Xbox One, you know what I mean? It'll save your wallet money.
I already bought 2 copies of Vesperia. I don't want to buy 2 or 3 copies of Vesperia again.
Yeah. So, with that in mind as well, do you have any plugs, Zeno, that you like?
My inactive YouTube and Twitch. They're both Zeno the Wanderer. Just look them up, you'll find them. My Twitter handle, Zeno the Wanderer, no spaces. That's pretty much where you can find the rest of my links. I post there like once every few weeks. That's about it for me, though.
All right, and as always, you could follow me at PamBamRichard on Twitter, and always make sure to drop by at www.abyssalchronicles.com, where not only will we find the coverage of the latest in Tales of News, but now Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, finding out what will happen with that particular title. So this is a breaking news audio, so we'll still see you next week with Dimension Slip, as we'll be covering our reactions of Tales of Festival 2018. So until next time, take care.